Welcome back to episode 44 of Greatest, the Let's Play Modded Minecraft series. And yeah, I'm out here just looking around. Decided to continue with the magic theme this episode. Whoops. So let's go inside and see what we've got to do. I continued with doing the infusion area off camera. As you'll see, it's now pretty much complete. It looks a little bit different perhaps than the last episode, but don't worry, the mechanics are exactly the same. I extended the power system from our node all the way from down here up into the ceiling and around. Unfortunately, you can't really create loops. That annoys me no end. But yeah, I'm gonna have to leave that for now. What I did want to show you this episode is to automate this, I think, a little bit more than we have. So let's go and do that. So, in order to start this, we're going to need a few different bits and pieces of items. And this is going to be computer craft stuff. So, computer, I have one, the advanced type already, and some monitors. I have them left over from just a power project I'm working on in the background. Networking cable. I have plenty of that. And modem. I only have the wireless type of modem. We actually want wired modems in this. There's not enough range for a wireless modem basically to work. So the wired modem's actually over here, which is good. Really cheap recipe, so well, helps when if I actually click the right thing. I need one for the moment. Or do I need two? I think I need two. Yeah, I'm gonna need one for the computer as well. And I need something from OpenBlocks called a peripheral proxy. Again, really cheap recipe at this stage, so let me just grab one of those. Okay, so if I drop the peripheral proxy down, the active side of it is this, and the cabling side of it is this at the back. So let's go and take that down and see what we can do in the Thaumcraft area. So I've got to take the liberty of gone ahead and actually done a lot of the cabling already. So, you know, you don't have to watch me cable everything. But if I briefly go here, you'll see I've already got these set up. So peripheral proxy next to a wired modem, and you right click the wired modem to turn it on, and then just networking cable to link them all together. You don't have to worry about like the suction system from Thaumcraft. You don't have to worry about forming like a continuous loop. Just branch off where you need to. That's all fine. So if I just put mine here just to finish off the last one, and one of the wired modems, and network cable, and turn it on, and that's all of them connected. Now, I should explain the rest of this because you did see it last episode, but it looked a bit different. So just to explain and just to be sure that you understand what's going on here, there is a non-void jar on the inside near the altar where everything's going to get crafted from. That has the most suction, so anything in each of these individual lanes is going to get pulled into this first. Behind them is a void jar, and the void jar is what I'm reading with the peripheral proxy. This is, in order for computers to be able to read it, I need one of these things. I can't do it just to an actual jar by connecting a modem to it or anything. So this is how it works. This then effectively becomes a second 64 aspect buffer. And then I'm reading off the buffer. So the disadvantage of this system is that I'm not able to read the actual amounts I've got ready for crafting. But what I am able to do is, if this is empty, then I probably need to fill those jars outside. If it's got something in, it's guaranteed to be a full jar outside. So all I'm really concerned about, and you know, late game, all you probably concerned about is make sure all these jars are full. And if they're all full, I don't need to know how much stuff's in them, just that they're full or not full, so a boolean. And I also didn't like the front of the peripheral proxies. This texture, I didn't want that on the walls here. I just wanted them to stay just marble for the moment. So I'm fairly happy with that system. And then behind that, we've got, let me go to the other side. That's probably easier to show you. In here, we've got, excuse me one second. We've got a chest which pulls in both coal, which will then fuel all of these, the alchemical furnaces, and the top gets filled by this chest outside. Drop anything in there, it gets pulled into here, which gets pulled into this first buffer. This has a bellows attached. Remember, these collars stop it from pulling in that direction, so I can't pull backwards this way, because that's what the bellows will do otherwise. It'll just pull in every direction, so it's only pulling in these 3 directions. Then from here down to here, again, this bellows is pulling because this on its own will only pull with a strength of 1, which means 1 distance. So I need a bellows to pull it into this first one. Note that, well, yeah, that's the moment. You'll note that I have a collar on the top of this one, but not on the rest. That's only because this is the first one in the chain. And because of the bellows here, it's so close that it starts to try. You start to try and get leakage from these. It tries to pull all of this backwards in the system, and we don't want that either. So strictly speaking, you should probably put it on every one, but I'm lazy, and these aren't on their own strong enough. So again, we're putting the collar on to make sure the bellows doesn't pull from here backwards, and you just keep on going all the way down, and making sure that each lane isn't connected from left to right, just straight out and straight towards me. Same thing every time you go through a pipe, tube, put a bellows on the next buffer in the chain, and you keep going all the way around, and that's how it's set up. So that's pretty much end to end and done now. So let's see what we can do about setting up the computer. I have dug out a little bit. Yeah. Where's my computer cable? I think I've got enough. So let's just... Oops, I've turned it off because I've right-clicked. Shift right-click. And then around. In fact, do I need it this high? Yeah, I'll stay at the top. So, don't do that. All the way here. Let's go up now. Dig through. There we go. So what we're going to do here is put the computer down, which is where I want it. And it's going to be blank by default. If I just look, yep, there's nothing on there. This is why I need 2 modems, because I need to put a modem on the back of this. Turn that network cable up. I could probably turn it on first. There we go, it's on. Okay, that should be connected. Right, and we also need a monitor, so I probably want to dig some of this out. And by default, the program I'm going to show you is expecting a monitor of 3x5. It will adapt to other monitors, so you don't have to worry about changing things, except for one line of the code, depending on what you actually want your monitor to look like. But by default, if you build it 3 tall by 5 wide, you will be fine. What's next? Everything's hooked up, so let's see if this works. So here's the paste bin. I'm just going to, if for those of you who don't want to be too concerned about seeing the computer craft bit, all you need to do is do paste bin get KUS in capitals 1JVF FI, and then the name, I'm going to call it pole aspects. And if I edit that, you'll see all of this code. And if you're not familiar with ComputerCraft, just don't worry about it. The only thing that's at the top is this thing here. If you want a different number of columns, you can change that, and everything should recalculate below it. I'll show you that in a second. But for now, let's just exit this and see whether this works. Oops. Tab. Will you actually pick this up, or will you not? Does not look like it. Why are you not working? Peripheral.find monitor. It's connected to the left side of me, so it should be fine. Let me just go and find out why that's not working. It may be that this needs a monitor. Well, it shouldn't really be because it's touching, but yeah, let me go and just check that. Okay, I have now connected a modem to it. That was all it actually needed. I shut the program down. I'm crashing. Back in a second. There we go. It's actually, it's not a bug with Thaumcraft. It's a bug with right-clicking things with tools, I believe. So the program isn't running at the moment. That's not actually updating. But let's just run the program. And now it is. So you don't need to see anything else on the screen here. This is actually updated. Now let's give that proof. What have we got here? Fames or fames, or how you want to pronounce that. I know that that comes from carrots, so let's see what happens if we put some. Do we have any carrots? Not enough to fill it, but it's the void jar, so it doesn't really matter that much actually. Because it's in green, I should explain this on the program. I've written this basically so that it's green if this value is above 0, and if it's above 0, it means that your front jar is full. All you need to do if you want to switch it around, of course, is just to switch these things around. So the void jar's back here, and this is in the wall, so it's examining the front jar. If you wanted to do that, that's an easy swap. I'm just not going to show you the two different versions of that. I'm sure you can do that yourself. Yeah, so the value here is the number in the void jar, remember. So fames or fames is this one, and in the void jar at the back, 32, and there's 32. So let's make sure the whole system works. Let's just shove the carrots in here. You'll notice them being pulled in. It will, that's annoying. That is actually conducting power, but it breaks occasionally. Yeah, that's just a visual bug. And that's going to annoy me as well. Great. That's a marvelous power conduction system. Anyway, there we are, 32. So once it finds its way through the buffers, and remember that the buffers are fairly slow at transferring this stuff. There it is, 33, 34, and it also contains messes, which should also start ticking upwards as well. Once it gets rid of the fames. Because remember, it's going to get pulled from this chest into one of these three. There it is. You saw some messes there going. It's not going to distribute it outwards at the moment, I don't think. And they are fairly slow to conduct this stuff, but it doesn't really matter because you're just filling the void jars. 38, and messes is 38 as well. So for this episode, we've got something now that I can easily, as I'm walking down into the area, I can easily look across. If there's anything in red, I know I need to fill something. Obviously, that's only the first stage in automation. This is just really getting a reading on what's in the jars, rather than trying to hunt. Well, for one thing, I'm not going to alphabetize these jars. I cannot be bothered doing that. So I'd rather just have an alphabetized listing, and then you can go from there. That's the kind of build part of the episode. I am going to go through the Thaumcraft code quickly. If you do not want to see that, obviously you can drop off. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, etc. All that kind of good stuff as normal. If you've got any questions or you want to see how this actually works in more detail, just let me know or send me a quick comment and I'll be happy to. Now, onto the Thaumcraft stuff. So, let's just get rid of this for a second, Control-T, and edit it. So, at the top, this is number of columns. So, if I were to change this to, let's say, 4, and just run the program, you'll notice it tries to compress everything together and recalculate it. If you'll see there's not quite enough room for 4 on a 3x5. So what you may want to do is play with this just to decide how you want it to look. For me, it's 3 columns on a 5x3, or 3x5, whichever way you put it. So the Thaumcraft code, it's going to find the monitor. This is where I was going wrong before. Previously, I just wrapped what was to the left. Instead, I've just connected to the network, and it's finding the monitor and getting its size. It's putting in an empty table, and that's just going to be our inventory of things. Don't worry about it too much. And items, it's going to go across the network and find all the peripherals that it can connect to. Function pair by keys, this is straight out of the documentation for Lua. It is a sort function for tables. You cannot really sort tables in place. You have to do a weird thing of creating new stuff, a new table effectively, and then resorting that. And the important part is that isn't in the documentation is you have to add this function that tells it how to sort the table. Otherwise, it can't determine it because you've got more than one. You got key and a value, and it doesn't know what you want to sort by. So that's just straight out of the documentation. Don't worry about it too much. Moving down, scan jars. Again, it's just going to at the start of the scanning function, it's going to clear the inventory, go through all the peripherals in the network, see if the type is an aspect container, a jar. Add a jar find the jar label. So in my case, all my jars are labeled, so I don't have to inspect what's in the actual stuff so much as, because even if there's nothing in the jar, it will still return the jar label of air or whatever it is. Then it will get the amount in the jar using that jar label. So over on the right hand side, you pass in the jar, the jar label variable, say which one to look for. Further down, you're just basically assigning that into the new table, the inventory table, and it's going to go through and do all of the things in the network. So that's filled your inventory table with everything you've got. And then print jars to screen is just a simple thing that's basically going to clear the monitor every time, set the text color to white initially, or actually could remove that. That was for testing. Set the cursor position to top left. Work out the column width and the number of items in the column based on the number of columns you wanted at the top of the screen. So if you wanted 3 columns, it's going to divide the width of the monitor by the number of columns to work it out. And the number of items, it's just got a magic number in here, which it shouldn't really do, but there's 49 aspects. So it's just going to do that by the number of columns, then add 1 just to keep a bit of space saved up. And then we're just going to go through, sort the inventory. So it's alphabetized. If you don't do this in Lua, what's going to happen is if I just didn't have this bit here, we would end up with it just randomly changing the position of all the aspects every single time it would refresh, which is really hard to find things. Then further down, we're basically saying if the number is greater than 0, if the amount is greater than 0, set the color to green. Otherwise, set it to red. And then we're doing writing the I, which is the name of the aspect, or the essential, whichever one you want to say. Set its cursor position to itself plus the column width. Again, it just works that all out automatically. -2. That's just to leave room for the number of the amount, which is usually it's always a 2-digit number if you like at maximum. And then Y. And then write, because it's moved to the right now, and then write the amount. If you don't put that toString, by the way, a toString J, it will write it out as a number with a decimal point. So it will generally write 64.0, and because you're moving the cursor only 2 to account for the number, you need to make sure it's not got 0.0 on the end. So you're going to want to convert it to a string, which it does, and then removes the decimal point. And then if we are under the height of the monitor, we're just going to move things down by 1. Otherwise, we're going to set it to the top because we're greater than the monitor height. And then we're going to move over a column, and that's largely it. And then at the bottom, while everything is true, which is always, scan the jars, print the jars to screen, wait 2 seconds, and repeat. And that's the program. It's a fairly simple program as far as Thaumcraft goes. But if you aren't concerned with that, yeah, don't worry about it. Just run the program. Poll aspects. And there we go. We're back to 3 columns again as normal. Okay. Hope you've enjoyed that episode. Try to keep it fairly short again. I've got a new couple of video playlists going at the moment. I've got the mechanism tutorial, and I'm just waiting for hard mode on FTB Infinity, which will be coming out in the next few weeks apparently. So I'm just continuing on this, and we'll see what happens when that comes out, just how hard it is, and just to see. I'm still building down here. There's still a lot more skills to go. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe as before, and I'll see you in the next episode.